Spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the blue Terran player representing Team Mouse Control. Going down 0-1 so far in this best-of-3 series in what could prove to be an extremely important match in this group. Terran versus Terran. One of the matches we've been looking forward to all day. Can he come back? It is Poyo. His opponent, major tournament winner famed for his early game aggression in game number 1 in this best-of-3 series, was definitely not an exception. Can he close it out 2-0? Or is he going to falter and tie it up with his opponent? We'll find out, guys. Representing Western Wolves, we have Sting.
So, these two, let's talk a little bit about the group they're in, because I think that's a worthwhile thing to say. Sting is, fair to say, the favourite of this group. He's really outlining that as nice and solid. He's going for identical opening to game 1 as well, which is also an important thing to point out. The rest of the group, though, we've got Nazjamaj, how would you even say that? Nazmaj, Poyo, and Katniss. Okay, so I'd say Poyo is actually my favourite for the number 2 spot.
I don't know, man. Katniss kicks a lot of butt. It's kind of true.
Kind of true.
I don't know how good she is at StarCraft, though. I guess we'll find out. Maybe she'll just spear Sting through the face and win by default.
Sting getting stinged.
Stung.
Stung.
You're English, mate.
My English.
Sort it out.
Sort it out.
Alright, so we've got the gas burst once again from Sting here. He's going to be able to go straight into that factory as soon as this barracks is complete. Identical build to the last game, and Poyo's going to see that straight away. Even knows how much gas is being mined, of course, over 100. And he's actually going to try and block the approximate location the factory's going at. But Sting's like, well, you know my buildings can fly, right? I'll just make it over here. And that's actually a pretty good point. Meanwhile, we see the gas now being taken after the barracks this time for Poyo. So, going to be getting a couple of Marines out. And he should be taking up just a little bit slower than Sting there.
Yeah, nothing really to worry about here for either side. Of course, one thing about Aklon Waste is the dead space coming into the main. You've got to be cautious about it. You've got to look out for any medevacs that could be coming in lots of places. There's also a little cliff edge there, which is really irritating. Units can just come and bounce up, get out of vision unless you build a supply depot to the edge of your base, which probably they both will. But Poyo, he's just going to be going for a nice and simple 1 racks command center.
That's right. Now, he did get the gas on this, by the way, so it's not going to be quite as fast as if he didn't get that gas in the first place, obviously. But he's got 100 gas banked up now, so he could be going for that factory straight away, and indeed he does. And that means he's going to start his factory approximately the same time that Sting starts his starport. So that's a pretty useful timing to remember, guys. Don't forget, Sting went gas first. So as soon as he finished his barracks, he went straight into the factory, straight into the starport. So what kind of timing does that lead to if you just take a gas at a normal time? Well, if you go for the 1 racks expand off of that 1 gas, your factory is going to come down roughly the same time as your opponent's starport. Good to know.
Very true. Now, in terms of what Poyo's doing, I actually like what he's doing. I think it's a nice rounded build. Sting is once again getting himself into a position where he's got to make sure that he deals damage. If he doesn't, he's going to get behind, just as we saw in game 1 when he went for that really early Banshee Cloak, and he's doing exactly the same thing again. So, how can he... Well, he can potentially do more damage here, but if Poyo gets a good scan off, at a similar time, he'll see Cloak coming down, he'll know the Banshee's coming, and defend it perfectly. Then all he's got to do is make sure that he doesn't die to that follow-up push of, say, Tank Marine. And if he does that, he's going to be in an ace spot.
And dying to the follow-up push is something that definitely happened in game number 1, so we know all about that here. The SCV thinking about trying to get past the bunker, thought better of it at the last second, though. And Poyo, once again, he's going to be going for the initial Hellion Marine style play. Let's wait and see if he ends up getting a medevac or if he's going to be going for a Viking in this particular occasion. No scans come down from him yet, so it looks like this game, Cloak is going to complete for Sting.
Yeah, now, to be honest, there goes down the scan. There we go. Sees it.
Now, there's only a couple of seconds left on this Cloak, so I suspect Sting is going to wait until the scan is finished. Okay, now the scan's not there anymore, and he's going to let Cloak finish this time. Interesting.
Now, this isn't actually necessarily a bad thing, because currently Poyo hasn't actually started down any missile turrets, so he doesn't have detection from that. He doesn't have as much anti-air, and there's even a second Banshee coming out here, but the engineering bay has now just finished. He can start those missile turrets now, but is he going to be able to? He needs to get a scan off. There isn't enough energy on the natural. I don't know if there's on the main, but already a couple of SCVs going down. This is significantly more damage than was done previously in Game 1 with the Banshee. So already this is going better for Sting than we saw previously.
Now he's got a single scan ready. He has 5 Marines and a Viking. Let's see if he can do it. And no, a couple of Marines actually going down here. So unable to make it stick. There are 2 Vikings out now and a Widow Mine as well. But it looks like he is just interested in going for the SCVs. Not able to make anything stick over there at the gas. And here comes the scan. It was actually nearly out of energy anyway, so the most Sting could have hoped for there was that Poyo used an additional scan to do it, and he did successfully do so. And now we have Banshee number 2.
Banshee number 2 is going to have a bit of a tough time though, because there is the missile down. Luckily cloaking before the Widow Mine was there. A couple of SCVs are actually going to go down here. This is really quite frustrating. The worker kill count is going to start creeping up. The Vikings going to try and get a kill, but the Banshee just gets out of range. But a second scan being used.
Wow.
That's like over 500 minerals of resources that now Poyo doesn't get. That Sting is going to be happily achieving those extra.
Yeah, that's 3 scans so far. And look, Sting is actually going for the same follow-up here. We can see non-stop Marines being punched out. Another barracks that's likely going to go onto the tech lab, so he can probably try and get combat shields up if he's not interested in getting medepacks out. That would help this push considerably. Let's see if that's what he ends up doing. The natural expansion's also gone down as well. So, but because of those helis that we heard earlier, Poyo has seen the timing on that. Let's take a look at his vision here. I'm pretty sure he saw the command center floating down, but he didn't see it after it was landed.
So that's not a big problem for Poyo, because all he's got to be cautious of is this, once again, going to be a big Marine tank push.
Yes.
This is what killed him last game. The only difference between game 1 and 2 so far is actually that Sting managed to get a decent number of worker kills, and he's still getting more. Another scan being forced here. These Banshees are being incredibly effective. That wasn't what was happening in game 1, and so Poyo...
2 scans per Banshee, that's a lot,
Yep.
man. And he's sinking a lot of his money into Hellions as well. So Poyo, when it comes to teching, trying to get SCVs out to see if he can get that bulk of his army in, is really starting to starve for minerals a little bit, whereas Sting has just been able to constantly use those minerals to produce Marines. And as a direct result, look at this, both the worker and army supply currently favoring Sting.
And Sting, he doesn't really have pressure on him now, because he is actually getting ahead. As long as he holds off things like this Hellion drop coming into the main base, then actually what more is there to concern him? He's got a nice army, he's got good tech, his upgrades are coming down nicely. Poyo's got to be the aggressor now, and look at this drop is going to get shut down so effectively by Sting. That couldn't have gone much worse, Poyo short of losing the medevac.
Yeah, this was a really, really fail drop here, unfortunately, by that medevac and the Hellion. Sting just keeping his army at home patiently until he decides it's time to move out, and once again going for the same timing. These 11 minutes 45 seconds. That is a very scary looking army. Even a couple of SCVs joining in as well, and Poyo sees what's coming. Will he be able to defend in time? We need a lot more Widow Mines here, possibly another bunker as well. Let's see what he does against these tanks though, because they're the massive damage dealers, and they're really the ones that are going to stop him from being able to go out of his base.
Yeah, this could be a little bit awkward for Poyo now. He's got to try and make this hold. The single Widow Mine, probably not going to be enough here. He needs to get more out. He needs to get the Marines in a good position. He needs the Hellions to do something massive. But as you said, the tanks bomb, and that's a good hit. Gets quite a few Marines there. The Vikings moving in, but they've got nothing they can attack. The tanks are sieged up in such a good position. This is not looking too good for the MCON player.
No, it really isn't. Poyo struggling at the moment, pulling SCVs as well. Sting currently at 112 supply versus the 60 of a Poyo. And Poyo just unable to deal with this army composition this time around. Very surprising stuff, especially after losing to it in game number 1. But there's the GG. Sting takes this series 2-0.